Hey everyone, I'm Brian Rappaport, CEO and founder of Quan Media Group. Quan is an out-of-home agency dedicated to providing a personalized approach to out-of-home buying and planning with a focus on strategy and attribution. And I'm excited to have a conversation today with three gentlemen that I happen to know very well, as I've had the pleasure of working with all of them over the last several years across different agencies, clients, everything. So it's kind of fun to be able to sit here and basically talk with your friends, albeit industry colleagues, about what's going on in the current state of out-of-home during COVID. And I'll let you guys kind of introduce yourselves and we'll take it from there. So Greg, feel free to kick us off.
Sure. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Gregg Marshall. Currently, I'm the SVP of Sales on the street furniture team in New York. So I report into Faith Garbolino, and ultimately I manage the New York team of roughly 9 salespeople, as well as day-to-day relations with Dentsu and some of our global agencies worldwide.
Cool. Rob?
Hi, everybody. Rob Levine. I've been a national account executive at Intersection, formerly Titan, for roughly 11 years now. Wish we could all be doing this together live in Phoenix, but nevertheless, really happy to be sitting down with all of you to discuss this timely and important topic. So thank you for having me.
Of course. And Lonnie?
Yeah, hi, Lonnie Passy. I'm National Sales Director for Curb Taxi Media. If you don't know who Curb Taxi Media is, we are the largest provider of mobility and taxi media in the United States. We're comprised of 2 networks, 2 national networks. The first network being the largest in-ride video network, Taxi TV, and we're in 22,000 screens across the US. And then we also have our exterior rooftop business, Taxi Tops, 15,000 taxi tops and 5,000 vehicle wraps across the country. So yeah, very excited to be here with you guys. And I agree, wish we could be all in Phoenix right now, but this will do.
Definitely. So today we're essentially going to have a conversation about strategic out-of-home in a COVID world. While I'd love it to be post-COVID, hopefully sooner than later, we know what we're dealing with. And the past 2 months for us has been unprecedented. The way we go about our daily lives has changed. The way we're going to go about our daily lives for the foreseeable future is changing. And essentially, COVID-19 has impacted the economy, and with that, so many industries, out of home, of course, being included. And it's hard to talk about a brand, and telling them to spend, in the outdoor space when we're being told to stay inside. But in reality, there are ways to be smart, effective, and strategic if you're a brand that's still looking to utilize out of home to get in front of your target consumer. And as stay-at-homes get lifted and people still need to go outside and do their, important daily tasks, supermarket, pharmacies, even exercise, it's important. And like I said, states are starting to reopen. People will be back outside. And it's on us, the buying and selling side, to collaboratively, help educate clients and brands on how best to look at this out-of-home ecosystem more strategically during these changing times. And I just hate saying new normal, so I'm not going to do that because that's what everyone keeps saying.
Definitely not.
So, there has been some good news of late. The average American's traveling more, about 12.5 miles daily, which is still below a little bit of the recent norms, but it's 28% higher than the low point of 9.8 miles as of the last week of March. And it's kind of great that Geopath and Intermix have shared that with us. And then just the other week, Adweek came out with an awesome article on how, after we unquarantine, the billboard may become more valuable than ever. So clearly there are certain tactics within out of home that may take some more time to regain their effectiveness in terms of reaching an audience. But the billboard is one of hundreds of different ways in today's world that a brand can communicate effectively throughout a home. And with that said, let's jump into it because there's a lot, of education we can kind of provide here today. So first off, I have to say it's been amazing to see all the companies on the sales side really step up and be partners to agencies and clients, and much has been done between shifting campaigns, without question, to running important pro bono messaging. Lonnie, what has been Curb's response to COVID-19?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I'm really happy about our response. First and foremost, taxis are an essential service, so we provide essential rides for healthcare workers and frontline workers out there. So drivers and cabs are out there every day, making trips for these special human beings. But on top of all the PSAs that Curb Media has been doing, whether it's for the Ad Council or the WHO or the CDC, we're doing a lot of stuff on social media. We also wanted to create an initiative to give back to the community. So we created something called Art on Curb, where kids from all over the country can submit their artwork and with the help of their parents and draw pictures of their, support of their local heroes, like a doctor, a nurse, or a police officer, or a transit driver, and so forth. And we're using those drawings and we're putting it on, all our digital screens in New York City as a thank you and as a gesture. And it's becoming part of the content of our digital signage networks in New York City, and it's a great thing. We've also partnered with the New York City hospital systems. The Curb app has sponsored with the New York City Health and Hospital Systems, as well as the MTA. We're doing a lot of rides for the MTA while the subways are closed at night. The Curb is giving out free rides to essential workers from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. while the subway is being cleaned. And then, we're just trying to spread really good messaging right now, important data. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. And that's the most important thing we could do right now. Taxis are, like I said, they're essential. We're telling people that, they're helping people throughout the process. It's also that one-to-one environment. You're getting people in the back of a cab. There's a partition, the divider that protects people when they're in the cab. So, and I know I've read dozens and dozens of articles. Drivers are out there, cleaning the backs of their cabs, making people feel safe. So we're trying to spread all the positive things that are happening in the community with taxis and so forth.
Awesome. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Bottom line, taxis still flood the streets of cities. Whether you take them or not, you can't miss the messaging. It's definitely one of the more impactful and relevant frequency tactics right now. And another popular frequency tactic for a lot of brands that has taken a hit during COVID is below ground transit, essentially rail, which has become such an important way for brands to connect with the captive audience. Rob, it's expected people may be a bit hesitant to return to below ground transportation even after stay-at-homes are lifted. People are still going to avoid crowded areas. It's going to be a little rough for a little while. In your opinion, what would be the best way to reach consumers when they're back outdoors again, which seem to be now and in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Before we even start, below ground transportation, it will definitely be back. However, it's going to take a little bit longer than some of the traditional formats, such as bulletins and street media, and street furniture. I do believe that coming out of this, there's going to be a massive opportunity for clients to reach people. Once the lockdown is lifted, people are going to be out of their homes. They're going to be out and about. And, it really provides an opportunity for brands to connect with people as they're out and about on their daily journey. I know you said not to say this. However, for a time period, there's definitely going to be a new normal. Curbside pickup, it's not going anywhere. Restaurants are going to be looking at increased capacity outdoor seating, and that's great for us. I mean, it gives our media formats more time to spend with these people as they're out and about. Think about New York. It just has such a rich amount of street furniture and digital street furniture, whether it's Link, whether it's digital bus shelters, whether it's digital urban panels. And I think once the lockdown's lifted, these media formats are going to be very valuable. I think clients are going to have to be a little bit smarter with their dollars. They're going to have to use the flexibility of these formats. They're going to have to learn to day part, utilize APIs and quick trigger creative, be more contextual. I also think that content is going to be pretty important. It was prior to this. Intersection's taken a content-first approach. We try to drive all eyeballs to the screens. And I believe that content partnerships are going to continue to be massively impactful. And then finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, bus formats, you should see an increase in that as well. While people aren't going to be rushing back to take public transportation, they're definitely going to be exposed to it. Remember that these bus systems, they were planned and designed to deliver service to the broadest geographic area. They provide efficient CPMs, and if you add an Ultra Super King or a full wrap to the equation, you know, it's a perfect marriage of reach and impact. So those are just some of the ways I think that clients can look to advertise in a post-COVID world.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's kind of where I think our channel is really going to continue to persevere, because we do have so many other tactics that make such perfect sense, regardless of the state of the world that we're in right now. It's just really more so on how brands want to position themselves and the messaging that they want to convey. And I think the whole mantra of smarter cities and looking at out-of-home differently is really what's going to continue to push our channel forward. And despite this quote unquote rough stretch, I mean, we're going to return to the growth that out-of-home has seen over the past few years. I mean, without a doubt, the channel is just truly seeing its moment in the sun, and it's not going to just come and go. So, Gregg, looking at you, how is JCDecaux trying to think smarter with its offerings, you know, due to the current climate?
Great question, Brian. I think it's twofold. I mean, ultimately, we're utilizing our audience data as well as going back to really proximity marketing. I mean, so we've been partnered for quite some time with Newstar now, as other vendors are doing as well. And I think the idea is, you know, in the short term, we know there's going to be certain categories that are more resilient in the beginning stages. So the goal for us is to be able to create audience maps around audience targeting around these critical categories, whether that be CPG, streaming services, video conferencing, meal prep, luxury shopping online. The goal is to be smarter with how we target utilizing our assets on the street using this data. So it's an increase. I mean, we've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, brands are using Newstar more and more and other data sets to plan. And I think now it's just taking it to the next level to be smart in the initial phases of what brands are most resilient. How can we create these heat maps that best suit and be flexible? As Rob says, and Lonnie, I think the goal is flexibility is going to be the word that you hear today the most. I mean, all of us as media owners have to be more flexible and be more targeted, truthfully. So that's step one, I think, using the audience data. Proximity, again, got to marry up to what Rob said. I think it's most important to be able to be flexible where you can target. We know life, you know, isn't coming to a standstill in our cities. There's people still out there. I mean, even a couple weeks ago, I know week by week it's getting better, but people are still going out. Essential workers, health workers, banking, restaurateurs, government employees, groceries, they're all going out. So these people continue to commute. So they're passing our assets. And I think the goal is for us to create maps that showcase that. So we've essentially created what we call essential work maps. And the goal behind that was to showcase our inventory against grocery stores, takeout restaurants, hospitals. We know that's the first one that we saw really bounce back. Brands trying to target these medical centers, whether it's being thank you messaging or COVID, some sort of COVID related messaging. So we're creating those messaging. And I think, you know, I think a couple of us had the message for Anheuser-Busch running for takeout restaurants. And I think it was great when some of our colleagues went out to take POP, essentially AB, as a message was trying to help the restaurant industry. And it was encouraging people to go to their website to find out who was open for takeout. And you can see the contextual relevance that was given, where there was a transit shelter with the ad, and right next to it was a restaurant where people were socially distanced, 6 feet apart, but picking up takeout food. So I think, again, to what Rob said, it's going to be very important for brands to have that, cohesive, contextual relevant message in these different data sets. The other one, just to name another example, and I think it ran with a couple vendors, and we had it running with the shelters, was for Dove, which was a great campaign thanking, healthcare workers near hospitals. Beyond that, I think, in the short term as well, as brands are asking us, there's certain pockets within each of our major cities that obviously are hit harder with COVID. So we've created a zip code targeting analysis with our major cities of where the pockets that are, impacted the greatest. And the goal behind that was, whether it's just typical branding that says, stay 6 feet, wash your hands, which is still going to happen in those areas. And it's most important in those critical zips. I think other brands are going to be coming to us with relevant messaging, whether it's airlines showing how they're cleaning their, the airplanes better. That type of messaging is going to definitely hit home in those critical zips affected the worst with COVID. So
totally. And it's interesting because we have so many different markets covered here in this conversation: Boston, San Fran, Chicago, New York. And I think that hyperlocal out of home is going to continue to play such an important role for brands these next few months. I mean, in a market like New York, specifically New York City, you have Mayor de Blasio who is closing down streets to allow for more social distancing and allowing for exercising. And when you have such, dominant street level tactics like urban panels, like bus shelters, like taxi tops, like Link, like phone kiosks, you really have the ability to cherry pick on these streets and really target the influx of pedestrians that are surely going to be there, as we kind of change the way we go about our lives. So it's really interesting as we continue to see the way, the at-home channel pivots to kind of allow brands to utilize it a bit more effectively. Lonnie, how important are dynamic capabilities like hyper-local out-of-home for Curb at the moment?
Yeah, hyper-local out-of-home, I mean, it's always been important in out-of-home, but it's obviously now more important than ever. So with Curb, we have our smart digital taxi top network in New York. It's the largest digital taxi top network of its kind. It's LCD. So it's one of the biggest, brightest units in the market. And we've been using this network to give back to brands who are, want to target local out of home, local restaurants, local healthcare. And we're doing the same thing as Rob and Gregg as well. We're looking at data points where the taxis are congregating. And right now, we have all the trip data. The trip data right now is for certain areas like airports and around hotels and Broadway are low, but we're seeing an uptick by hospitals. We're seeing an uptick around food delivery places, and that's where the taxis are. So we're doing something similar, where we have those data points, putting it on maps, and we actually are able to prove that these areas you'll be able to pinpoint. Geo-targeted, geo-fencing with our smart technology and change the message in the matter of minutes. And I think, digital is going to be very important moving forward. Digital out of home especially is going to be important moving forward because of the flexibility that you're going to have. A brand's going to want to have run an ad instantly, and then they're probably, they may want to take it down because of something that's going on. So we're all going to have to be there to make sure that that this is happening. With taxis, the great thing about taxis is we can display messages on our digital smart taxi tops and taxi TV, whether it's walking distances or how far a restaurant is to draw more traffic to a local business. Also, connecting to an API and gathering up that content that's going to be part of everyday life for essential workers and the norm. We are also seeing a lot more pedestrian traffic increase, which is great for our street level media like taxis, like shelters, like street furniture. In cities like New York and Boston, it's gone up 36% in the last couple of weeks. It's happening even faster in markets in the South. So we're going to see this trend even go up more. And with the hyper-local capabilities on digital inventory, you'll be able to target all these essential workers.
Awesome. So data is so important. I think it's been pretty amazing how GeoPath has been able to focus on real-time travel data and the curation of real-time impression adjustments. It's been huge for the industry. It's going to be great to help brands get comfortable spending again. Gregg, in a market like Chicago, where you guys have billboards and street furniture, how are you using data to help, build a story as out-of-home, rebounds? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay. So I think as you kicked off in the beginning of this webinar, was really showing how week by week we are starting to see more traffic on our roads according to GeoPath. I think we've been marrying that up with also INRIX data or Apple mobility reports. I mean, at this point, we're taking, multiple data sets to kind of gauge how each week is improving. I think we definitely have seen an uptick in Chicago as this past week the restrictions have eased up and non-essential workers are going back in that market for takeout or pickup. So, brands like Ulta, sporting goods, florists, things like that. So as, more of these are opening up, I think we're just going to continue to see from Geopath, the reports of pedestrian and vehicular traffic, go up. The beauty of that is, where our placements are street level, it's going to be essential to be, utilizing those assets to reach people as they're going to work, walking to work. And I think for us, I know you mentioned the new norm and things like that. I think it's important for us to show normalcy in ads too. Just last week, Chanel was running Mother's Day creative. I think best practices is very important right now to highlight for our agency partners and our clients, because as we know, we're going to see those COVID-related messages for quite some time. It's also important to highlight the typical campaigns that you would have saw pre-pandemic and seeing Mother's Day creative that's driving people to online purchase. So that's definitely encouraging that we're seeing that. I think we're going to monitor these things. I mean, we all want to make sure that what we're using is as accurate as possible, and we'll do our best to work with Geopath to monitor if these trends continue, and there's no relapses.
Great. Awesome. So return on investment, attribution, measurement, all topics that we are chatting about today. Rob, with decreases in consumer spending and ad budgets expected to continue, ROI is more important than ever now. How can advertisers, in your opinion, really optimize their out-of-home dollars?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all spoke about this already. It's the buzzword of everything that we're talking about. I mean, the data continues to get better in out-of-home. Digital out-of-home is more addressable and accountable than ever before. And this has been the driving factor of the growth that we've all experienced and all the momentum that we've experienced in out-of-home over the past few years. We can provide more accuracy and specificity around audience composition, impressions, and daily movement than ever before. So we haven't always been thought of as a DR vehicle. It's usually we're associated with brand awareness, which is fine. We're a great brand and awareness driver. That's fine. But I think of us more as an awareness plus. We're able to kind of play in the same arena as our online counterparts right now. Something that I'm particularly excited about is measurement of digital events. And Gregg just touched on it a second ago. We're getting pretty sophisticated in the way that we are able to account for website visits, app downloads, online purchases. Marketers are more than ever able to quantify the efficiency of their out-of-home campaigns. And I think it's on us as an industry, to really lean into this as we're going to continue to get marketers more comfortable to come back to out-of-home and just teach them that their dollars are going to work harder for them, and we're going to show them that they're going to work harder for them. So really excited about that.
So for me, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. I'd love for COVID to be over tomorrow and for us to be back to, quote unquote, regular life. But I just think the way that out-of-home as a channel has evolved and how expansive it is, while there may be bumps in the road due to the world we're living in right now, it's just a completely different channel now than it was in 2008 when we went through the last recession. Having said that, digital plays a heavy role in why I really do feel, the channel will persevere and come back stronger, as well as, the flexibility that digital offers. Gregg, are you finding digital to be JCDecaux's most resilient format? Any developments that you could share on your end?
As far as new developments, obviously for us, it's been important to digitize our street furniture in our various markets. So, as this process of COVID has been going on, we were in the process of digitizing Boston. So there are 40 new digital CIPs now in the market, which is important because there really isn't any street furniture in that market digital. So we're excited about that. I think the flexibility and the ability to accept various creatives is going to be key in that market. As far as most resilient, yeah, digital has by far been the most resilient. Having each of our markets, New York, Chicago, and Boston with a digital offering is crucial in a time like this and it's been crucial because we can react so quickly. Our units are state of the art, things that, Rob touched on as far as making things very flexible, from day parts to unit selections to weather triggers, to, all the different things that brands were starting to catch on to, which has really led to the industry seeing quarter on quarter growth, was, driven, by digital out of home. So we know it's going to be even more crucial as we go through the next couple of weeks and months and adapt to what the brands are looking for in a time like this, because we can react so quickly. I think, it's giving us the opportunity to pivot real quickly. Brands that have special initiatives that really want to tie in for a 1-day offer, a 3-day offer, they can do that. I mean, that's the thing, is like, we will see more, in my opinion, short-term buys, things that are coming on for 1 day, 4 hours, 1 week. The typical 4-week campaign that, has driven the U.S. marketplace might go away a little bit. We're still going to see it when we have the awareness plays, brands that are buying 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, long term. But I feel like the resilience of what we're seeing is the flexibility that the digital screens are going to allow for us. Beyond that, I would say View, which is our DSP, is now trading. So I think we're trying to give more options out there of how brands can buy from us. The traditional ways, the programmatic ways. Our billboards are on there right now, and the goal is to have our street furniture in the coming weeks and months on there as well. So it will be resilient. It will be the driving force of revenue for media owners. And I feel like the buying community and our clients are going to be coming to us with the desire and need to utilize the flexibility of the screens even more.
Awesome. Lonnie, Curb has evolved as a company over the past few years, and definitely, for the better of, as you guys have prioritized measurement, what measurement tools are Curb utilizing at the moment, to provide adequate ammo for brands, looking to spend on the format?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So there's 2 ways to measure our media. One is on the inside for Taxi TV, and one is on the outside. For the inside, we have our first party mobile app, Curb, does 1 million transactions a month. If you've never used it, you should. It's basically the Uber for the taxi industry. And we have access to first party mobile data. And we're able to extract mobile IDs and send it to a data analytics company, and you're able to see measurement. We also have transaction trip data. So we see every transaction that goes through based on the location, the time stamp. So we're able to divvy that up as well. On the exteriors, we have waypoints that we can extract. And we're actually evolving our own portal. It's called Curb Array, and you'll be able to see exactly where your taxi tops and digital taxi top plays are being played, on a map, and we'll be able to do that in real time. And also, we're working with Mira Analytics as well to provide measurement as well. So, the taxi top industry, the taxi media industry has come a long way where, over in the last 2-3 years, we've really evolved and focused on data and measurement, where before that, it was very challenging because, one, it's moving media, and 2, it's unrouted media. So the taxis, when moving cars, they typically go where, the people are going. So you don't really know where they're going, but you essentially, they're going to be around people. And that's what's always been the great selling point about taxi media, that it's, street level, it's low CPM, cost effective, in your face. And now with creative technology, all those, capabilities like day parting and weather triggering, API and stuff and things like of that nature. So yeah, the data is super important, and we're also paying attention to, the Apple mobility data out there for pedestrian traffic, which I mentioned before. That's going up in several markets, and that's going to continue to rise. And we're also paying attention to other data points like, airport travel. That's also continuing to rise on a daily basis, which is a very good sign that we're on the road to recovery. So, that's super important when, we're out there selling to brands and clients.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wind down here, this has been amazing because you guys have just been true champions for your respective companies and for the out-of-home industry. Funny enough, like all of you have worked, within companies that have really kind of revolutionized out-of-home over the past few years, between taxi tops and the digitization that we've seen them go through, and obviously with JCDecaux and Street Level and the new digital bus shelters as you guys continue to roll out digital to other cities, and obviously intersection with Link NYC and how it's sort of conquered New York and the boroughs, and you guys continue to kind of roll out your offerings into different markets. It's been kind of amazing. And I think, it's been really great to get to look into how hyperlocal out-of-home is really going to stand in the forefront in the next few months. It's really going to be perseverance and effectiveness. Those are the words that I think resonate the most after this chat. So, Rob, what do you think is the overall opportunity of the out-of-home industry post-COVID? In your opinion, how could we end 2020 on a strong note, and until we, have a vaccine, really keep pushing the industry forward, to keep clients comfortable spending?
First and foremost, this is going to pass. This is definitely eventually going to pass. We've spoken about everything that we've spoken about is going to lead to our success in the second half of this year and moving into early 2021. We talked about digitalization. We talked about flexibility. We talked about data. We talked about attribution. All of these things are going to continue to allow us as an industry to evolve and, play in the same ballpark as other verticals like online. All of these things have led to that amazing momentum that our industry was experiencing leading up to this Black Swan event. Out of home is still going to be fraud-free. It's still going to be brand safe. The cookie is still going away, and context is going to be more important than ever before. So, my last take on it, I think this industry is incredibly resilient. There are so many smart and creative minds in this out-of-home family that we live in. And I believe that, we are going to come out of this stronger than we've ever been. And we're going to recapture the momentum that we had building prior to COVID. So I think we just got to stay at it. And I'm really excited to get out of this, obviously, and to see where we go. So that's my piece.
Yeah, I love that positivity. Very much needed. Gregg, what about you as an industry? How could we be smarter as we head into the second half of 2020 and towards Q4, which is so odd to say right now?
I think I wanted to start with a little quote. I mean, knowing what everyone's been watching on their TV the past, I would say, 4 weeks has been the Michael Jordan special. So I really wanted to hit a quote that I found was very impactful for where we stand as an industry today. So I'm going to look at my screen for a little bit, but I just want you to really absorb it. And I think what Rob just said will hit on everything that we need to do as an industry to overcome, what we have been put through these last couple of weeks because of COVID. So this is what Michael Jordan said. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. So for us, our industry is primed and ready to go around this COVID obstacle. I mean, it's been prepping for this for the last months and years of why we've been so successful. I mean, data sets, as Rob said, the growth of digital screens to be more flexible and quicker, attribution studies that we're using, from whether if it's Ubimo or M4, all the various ones each of us are using is helping us go from just a brand awareness play to an actionable media channel. And I really feel like, how we're engaging and going through our funnel of who we're meeting with on a daily basis, it's just so many people have been asking about digital out-of-home and out-of-home. So I feel like, yes, there's an obstacle in front of us. We know what that is, but everything that we as media owners and vendors have at our disposal is going to get us through this and be able to climb over it. So, I know it's maybe a little cheesy, but I feel like it is relevant to what we're dealing with. And I thought it was a good quote to kind of bring up on this call.
No, totally. Definitely. And, turning last but not least, Lonnie, as you and all of your colleagues here have mentioned today, you guys all have strong media channels that really do make sense for brands, regardless of the climate and the way that the world works. How will you keep pushing out of home forward and doing your part as we head into the summer and deep into 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about adapting to your environment right now. I agree. It's going to come back. It's not going anywhere. Out of home's not going anywhere. It's going to be stronger than ever, but we do have to adapt. And we have to throw out the old playbook, and we have to almost create a new playbook. We're going to have to start, social distance selling, but clients and buyers are going to have to start social distance buying. And it's going to be our job as sellers to give them the most trustworthy data that's out there to make sure they're making, the best recommendation for their client. It's all about earning the trust in this environment. And that's what we do at Curb. We want to make sure what we're giving our clients is accurate data. We're being fully transparent, because right now, with brands suffering, several layoffs, brands trying to survive, it's our job as out-of-home suppliers to deliver the best bang for their buck in this kind of environment. So, we collectively have to work together and just offer the best solution and, be proactive. We can't wait around. We have to come up with creative, dynamic solutions that works for that brand particularly, because the buying environment right now is totally different than it was 3 months ago, and that's going to continue. But I agree with Rob's positivity. Out of home will roar back in a different way, but it will roar back, and we will be there to see it. With the digitalization of out of home, it's only going to make it better. But I also don't want to forget, don't want to put down static inventory either, because static inventory is a very powerful tool. You're getting, full share of voice, and the ability to take over, a small area or even a city like Taxi Tops for a low cost price. You're going to be able to do that now more than ever. So there's so many things we could be doing as an industry. There's so many things that we can be doing to give back, and it's all going to come down to how we adapt and the data points that we're putting out there to our clients. If you're a supplier, you must be giving the right proper data and accurate information to your clients.
Definitely. It's about ammo. It's about education. It's about being proactive. All of these things are going to help us kind of get through this and push forward into 2021. I thank all of you guys for taking the time to do this. It's one thing to do it with colleagues. It sounds cheesy, but it's another thing to do it with friends. So it's kind of awesome to get that opportunity. Do want to thank, Kim, AJ, and the Geopath team for giving us the opportunity to do this. Obviously, we wish it could have been in person in Phoenix, but, next time for sure. And it just was really great to kind of get a better understanding of how to look at out-of-home efficiently and on a hyper-local level during these challenging times. And most of all, how data and measurement and ROI could all play a very important role in helping champion out of home through, COVID-19. So I know we're going to push through. I think we're going to continue to see amazing growth even through, this little bit of a speed bump. And hopefully everyone stays safe and healthy, and we get through this sooner than later. So thank you guys so much. This was awesome.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.